Hi friends, it's Diane, the Creative Inkster, and this is your makeup video from Missing Facebook Live on Wednesday, July 26th. Unfortunately, we had some plan changing to make as a result of illness, and I think I just got all discombobulated and so missed out on coming on live last night. And so here we go. This is the project I had intended. So this stamp set I really wanted to get when I saw it in the annual catalog. It's so for our family because we're gamers over here. And I saw this neat idea online by a lady named Roz, we get her last name, Davison. I believe she's in Australia or New Zealand. And it's got a little belly band that pulls off here and then opens like this with a little flip over. I thought it was kind of a fun idea, and I would replicate it with a different stamp set for you tonight. So you can see that you don't have to have this stamp set to make this card. So the one I'm going to use here is Seaside Bay. Alrighty, let's get started. I'm going to leave this out and open as a reference point. So we're going to start with our paper, and we need our basic layer to be 9.5 by 5.5. So we know that if we cut our paper in half, that's 11 inches across, we're going to get 5.5, but we're not getting 9.5 this way. So this card is going to take one sheet of paper with your scrap left over. So along the 8.5-inch side, I'm going to cut this at 5.5. Right? And we'll tuck this piece aside. We're going to use this for the belly band, so it's not all going to go to waste. And then on this side, on the 11-inch side, I'm going to just open the arm up, and we're going to cut this to 9.5. So we'll have another piece of scrap here we can use for something else. I'll add that to my scrap bin and use it up. All right, now that we have it 9.5 inches across, we're going to do a little scoring. So we are going to score at 1 inch. Now, if you have the scoring board, the Simply Scored, you'll do it a little differently. But on the paper trimmer, you'll score it at 1 inch, then move this over to 4.25. You kind of don't move it when you use the Simply Scored. 4.25, and then we're going to move it over to 8.5. And that will give us the 3 score marks that we need for this card. That was 1 inch, 4.25, and 8.5. All right, we're done for that. Now we need a piece of white, and we are going to do the cuts for this piece and this piece. All right, so our outside panel here is 3 by 5.25. So the best way for me is to cut my piece of white in half to get 5.5. That's what I would do. Then I have the most amount of piece here to tuck aside to use again. I want this to be 5.25 long, so I'm going to trim off 1/4 inch, and I'm 5.25 inches across. Always looking for the best way to use my paper. Then I want it to be 3 inches wide. And on the inside, it's going to be 4 by 5.25. So this I will cut off at 4. And I have this little piece left, scrap white. Not quite enough to do this piece, but that's okay. All right, so there's our 2 panel pieces. So we've got the card base cut and scored. We've got this panel and this panel. Now we just need to do these 2 panels. And to do that, I'm going to use some coordinating paper with boho blue. And these pieces will be 3/4 inch by 5.25. So once again, I'm going to cut this down to 5.25. Throw away my scrap. And then cut 2 3/4 inch pieces off. We're going to do some stamping on these. Now, you could do a lot of different things with this. You could very easily, instead of stamping on it, you could add patterned paper. You could put your patterned paper here. You could put it along these lengths, I'm just going to do what I had done on this one and just replicate it, but with the new stamp set. All right, so let's grab a fun stamp to put down here. I think these would be nice, or any of the shells. This one is a group of shells, so I'm going to use that one. It's got sand and a group of shells. So let's just find that guy here in the set. Here it is. So let's just take a peek. Oh, sure, I could do it down like that very easily. And I'm going to use boho blue. I'm doing tone on tone stamping here. And if I find it's too dark, I can always do a stamping off. So let's just take a look. I'm going to actually run it this way. Oh no, I don't think that's too dark. And then we'll put another one, and then we'll put a portion of one down at the bottom. So there's one panel, 3/4 by 5 1/4 done. Another panel. And then you can fill in any of these spots. If you don't like these empty spots here, you could fill those in too. I'm just fine with that. All right, put that aside for the moment and clean up our stamp so we don't end up with boho blue ink where we're not expecting it. And I have learned to put them back in the case. Otherwise, I'm chasing them around here in this stamp room. Do yours ever go missing? Because I'll tell you, mine go missing a lot. And they often end up on the bottom of an ink pad or my paper trimmer. Just saying, that's what happens to me. Let's work on the inside piece. So this is 4 by 5 1/4. That's our white piece. And on the level complete stamp, we use this. So I think I'm going to use the little crab. He's kind of cute. And I'm going to take a peek and see, do I want to do him in crumb cake, which matches my card base? I think I do. So I think actually I'm going to, ooh, that was a little darker than I expected. I'm going to put 2 of them on here because it's not quite as big a stamp as that guy there. And then I pulled out some of my Stampin' Blends in the pink, the yellow, and the boho. So boho, lemon lolly, I think, yes, and bubble bath. And my thought was sometimes on these little creatures and on the shells, you do get a little bit of a sheen or a color. So I thought I'd grab the lemon lolly and see what happens if I just add a little bit of the coloring here. You know, it may not be exactly how nature intended it, but that's okay. We are going outside the box with our nature. Here we go. Maybe even a little Wink of Stella or something would sharpen that up and just give it a little bit of sheen there. Let's see. There we go. So we're just adding a little bit. So everybody knows what that stamp is. That's our little crab. And then we need to put a greeting up at the top. Let's check out the stamp set. So there isn't a happy birthday in this one. That's okay. Doesn't have to be birthday. We can choose, because I'm going to put something on the belly band. What does this one here say? You are pearl, rare and precious, which kind of goes nice with the pearl image. I think perhaps I will just leave it as such. Okay, so that's the inside. And then the outside piece, I'm going to stamp here, and I'm going to take the bird. This would be also nice for a sympathy card because there's a sympathy greeting on this too. So I could put the bird. There's a couple of birds in here. These guys are little walking birds. So if I had them there as an example, would I be able to see them? Yeah, I probably could. Let's add them to the bottom. We're just having fun here, playing with our stamps. That's the best way to spend your day, I think. So we'll take a little crumb cake. This time, I think I'm going to stamp them off so that my crumb cake is just a little bit fainter. There we go. And then we'll put the larger bird, once again, stamping off up here. right about there. And then a little bit of the sand. I'm going to add some color to this. I feel like it's a little bit boring just as it is. So a little wee bit of sand. We're gonna do this in two different ways. We're gonna go dark, dark, and then we're gonna do some stamping off. And we're gonna go light, stamping off, light, light. Here we go. So we're just filling in the spots a little bit there. All righty. And we are going to add a little something to the birds as well. I want to see what the bubble bath in a very light color is like. You know what would look nice with this maybe would be even your pencils, your watercolor pencils. And then if by chance you put it in and it's way too dark and not what you want, that's okay. You can go back with your white or clear color lifter and remove a little bit of that color. I'm going to put this on here. I noticed I missed his nose a little wee bit. That's okay. I'm okay. This is a sample card for me, so I'm all good. It's all about the grouping of the card layout. All right. So now we are just about ready to put things together, I think. So here we have our card, 1 inch score on this side, and then a 4 1/4 over here. So that is the piece that is our main portion here on the card. So you want to get it so that your thinner segment of the two middle ones is on the left. You're going to fold this away from you and fold this line here towards you and the outside layer in. Let's do that again. So you've got your 1 inch sides on either side. This is the thinner of the two inner panels. You're going to fold the 1 inch down, this piece over, and then the outside flap in. Grab your bone folder and just get those in a nice crisp edge. It helps when the belly band's going together. It's not absolutely imperative, but it sure helps a little bit. All right, so now we're going to add our little panels here. Some liquid glue. No. Oops, that's going to put them in the direction I had intended. And you could make them thinner if you like. I did mine with your typical 1/8 inch all the way around border, but you could certainly make them any which way you like. I'm gonna go this way. You can make them, instead of 3/4, you could make them 7/8 by 5 3/8. Whatever you do, I just kind of recommend that you make all your layers the same height and the same border on the left and right. Otherwise, it looks a little bit off if these were a little bit longer and then these ones were shorter. Open this up. This is going to be a thank you card. This is going to go on the inside. I wouldn't put any embellishments on the inside, but for sure, if you like, go ahead and embellish the outside. And then this panel here is going to be our little birds. And I think that I might actually give this a little bit more color. Could maybe even go ahead and emboss it. I'm going to add the pink. And I'm going to add a little bit of yellow. We're just going to mix them up a little. Let's see what I think. Can always change it up. But we have a great card layout here to work with. And we can do this with lots of other stamps in our collection. I need to add a little pink there. These are brand new Stampin' Blends, and so they are a little stiff to open, which is the way you want them to, because you don't want that to dry out on you. There we go. Melding a few little colors together with that. All right, this is going to go on the outside front panel. Yeah, you can try it with different stamps that have lots of ones that you can play around with and use as background stamps. And in fact, I think I'm going to stamp the bird and hand cut it out and put that on my belly band. So let's talk about the belly band. With the belly band, I don't tend to score it because I find then you're really committed to that line. So what I tend to do is measure my card. So it is 4 1/4 all the way across. Double that would be 8 1/2, and I add a 1/2 inch. So I want this to be 9 inches by 1 1/4. So we're going to go to 1 1/4. That, whatever width you like, whatever looks good to you. And 9 inches. Slide my arm out there. And that gives me a 1/2 inch overlap. You can do more if you like, for sure. And we want to keep our overlap on the outside, the part where we're going to cover it up with this stamped piece, so it's flat through the back. So a couple ways you can do that. You can lay it down this way. I'm just making it, about even. Don't get too concerned over this because you can overthink this really quickly. This is going to fold over. And I'm just going to fold it with my fingers, and then this piece is going to fold over. And you see I just have that little overlap there. And then I can slide this down and put my bird on there. Okay, so I'm going to put some tear and tape, or I'll put liquid glue or tear and tape, something good and strong, because I did find I had to hold it afterward just to make it stay. And you noticed I didn't put a lot of glue so it wouldn't stick out and stick my card shut, because we don't want that. We want it to slide. Oops, we want it to be sliding. That's important that it slides. Okay, so I'm going to slide it back down here. Let's stamp on some scraps. So we have our leftover scrap piece here. We're going to stamp the bird. Stole the block. Aha, there it is. And we will stamp, we'll get it clean to begin with, and we're going to stamp it in crumb cake. And it does have a die, but just for quick sake, I'm going to go ahead and hand cut it out. That's fine. So this time I did it full strength. Did a little bit better job stamping it. And then we'll grab the Stampin' Blends. Let me go back. I like that yellow and pink combo. So these are the light Bubble Bath and light Lemon Lolly. Oh, sorry, I grabbed the dark. Good catch. And once again, I think maybe the blends are a lovely way to do it. So would be your Stampin' Right markers or watercolor pencils, whatever your favorite medium is for coloring in. A little bit of Lemon Lolly, and then we'll go back in with the pink. Just get a little bit of a two-tone color going on here, melding in a bit with that crumb cake. I'm happy with how that turned out. So I'm going to hopefully not mess it up and grab my Wink of Stella. Where are you? Usually over here in my little, here it is, in my little craft toolkit pot. And we're just going to add a little bit of this to sparkle it up a little. And it adds a little beauty to it all. You can go back and do it on your card too. All righty. Maybe a little bit down here and a little bit on their legs. There we go. Okay, perfect. Let's grab our scissors or head over to your table and cut it out. Another option would have been I could have gone ahead and put it right on a circle. I'm just going to do some rough cutting here to get it off of this big piece of paper. That out of the way. And then go back in, and whenever I hand cut something out, I leave a little white border all the way around. I try to make it even. Sometimes I'm successful, sometimes not. But I find if you try to cut right to the stamping line, you'll never get that straight. You'll never get it even, and you end up looking a bit choppy, at least with white, or if you're on vanilla or whatever cardstock you're stamping on, you're going to have some leeway and it's going to kind of meld in a little bit better. Just a few tips that I've had from doing this, and you'll watch that I am moving the paper and not really moving the scissors that much. It's actually the paper that's moving, unless you're getting into a really tight spot. And it really helps to keep you on task and evenly going around. Make sure you don't cut his leg off. We don't want to do that. And up to the top. And it doesn't take that long to cut one out. There we go. So we're going to get this on here like this, and I'm going to use some scrap of the blue as well, I think, to bring that color in for the greeting. And I was going to use the thank you. Thank you for everything. Block. Good to go. And I did with this one, I kind of had a sense of how big it is. So I take my stamp and I put it on my grid paper, and I can see that the stamp is going to be a little more than 3/4 of an inch. So I'll grab my paper and cut this at a little more than 3/4 of an inch. Keeping it long because I'm going to have to stamp it twice. I mean, that's been known to happen. Now this crumb cake is nice and juicy and dark, so I think the crumb cake on here is going to work fine for our greeting. Line this up on the line, gives me best chance of getting it straight. And then I'm leaving a little bit on the left so I can flag the ends. Thank you for, oh, Diane, not straight. Let's try again on the other side. So what I find is sometimes my stickers don't go on straight. So I can tell that this is down a little bit. So when I go in for the second pass, I'm going to pull that left side up a little bit. Not too much. How did that work? A little bit better. Let's flip it over. Go again. Somewhere in the middle there. There we go. Third time's the charm. Okie dokie. Grab our scissors. And I'm going to snip off about the same amount I have on the left as I have left over on the right. A little bit too much there. Okay, so now when I want to flag the ends, I cut into the center, make a slit like that, and then I go from the 2 points into that slit. It's very non-measured, but it works. And it works nicely just about every single time. And if it doesn't, that's okay. It's only ink and paper. We can stamp it again. There we go. So that's our pieces there. I guess in the end, I could have done that. Oh, I got that one. Oh, I see. Okay. I want to kind of cover up my stuff there. So we're going to tuck this in the end behind the part of the bird and have it stick out that way. Just like that. And I'm going to maybe just cut off a little bit here. I know I'm kind of going rogue, but there we go. cut a different angle, and I'm going to glue this together like that. And you see, we still have our flag, and we're covering up our seam. Perfect. So we need a little glue on the front of the bird so that this piece will glue onto it. And I'm not going to raise it up because I definitely want to cover up the seam. So I think the best thing to do would be to actually glue it down through the body. Here we go. And it's liquid glue, so it's still a little bit tacky, that I can move it around a bit, get it exactly where I want it to be, and call that a fun made card. So I want to add something up here that goes with those colors of the pink and the yellow. So I think this one would work too. These are iridescent pastel gems. There's different sizes. Oh, but the blue and the pinky-ish ones, the blue ones are quite lovely for here. So we're going to add these over here for effect. We've got our Wink of Stella on there, and we can call this card done. So a lovely thank you card. They can slide the belly band off, and you can write your message on the inside. So that's my take on this card layout. I'm not sure, it probably has a name. I don't know what it is, and that's okay. So add this one to your stash of ideas on different cards that you can make, so we can try things that are not just your standard 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch flip it open card. This gives us something else to enjoy, and if they want to stand it up on the mantle or on the table, it still does that as well. All right, thanks for watching, and thanks again for your patience as I get this video together for you. Have a wonderful weekend. Bye for now.